Hello everyone, I am Tacet and today I'm going to be going over the Gems of War event objectives for the Vulture Culture event in which the Metztli is added to the game. This is of course also the final week for campaign 3 of the Phoenix Stone for Gems of War, so I'll be mentioning a couple things with that as well. But anyways, let's go and get over to the troop so you can stock up on a bunch of brown purples. It is an epic, so you can get them for the very cheap 200 glory each, which is really nice. As far as the troop itself, it's mostly a perpetual purple option that has a mana drain attached to it. Generally, you won't really be using this thing compared to something like Umbra Wolf if you have a fully traded Umbra Wolf. However, it can be okay as a purple alternative if you don't have an Umbra Wolf. It drains all mana from an enemy, and if there's a storm, it will also death mark them, and then ends up conjuring a Dark Storm. He will also have additional ways of creating a Dark Storm. One of them is summoning a Dark Storm at the start of battle, and it also gets to summon a Dark Storm when an enemy dies, basically meaning it has 3 different ways of refreshing a Dark Storm. Obviously, there are better options out there as far as Umbra Wolf and such. However, if you don't have it, this could be an okay alternative. Aside from that, you're pretty much never really going to be bothering to touch this thing, and just going to be outclassed by pretty much almost every other purple storm in the game, since they have better synergy with it off of either a better ability or just better everything than what that troop has, as basically everything he does is associated to this purple storm, essentially meaning he has no traits because everything's just going towards the purple storm essentially. So overall, pretty lackluster. But it's a Umbra Wolf alternative if you don't happen to have that legend, is basically the bottom line as far as that troop. Of course, we do have the finishing of the Phoenix Stone, as I mentioned, the final week for that. We do have 10% bonus to all Suncrest and all Stryx, which is really nice, because that means a good majority of the kingdom has 20%, which helps a lot for the Ward Lore event this week, as well as for the Thursday class event, as well as some of those troops are just decent to use in general. And also, if you want to use this useless thing as a Umbra Wolf alternative, you can do it with a soul farming team and gain a little bit more souls this week. So it might not be completely useless, at least this week, just because there's a little bit of a soul gain. So if you want to use them kind of as an Umbra Wolf alternative, you kind of can, though you wouldn't be able to put it in last slot like you normally would in Umbra Wolf. You'd have to be a little bit closer to the front, unless you're just using his 4-turn purple thingy, in which case I guess you could maybe get away with it still in last slot. But overall, he might actually be better than Umbra Wolf just for this week, due to the little bit of soul gain. But aside from that, beyond that point, it'll just be a weaker Umbra Wolf going forward. As far as the event key drop table, there's 2 very important things to mention with this. The Sun, the thing that's available through the Season Pass, as well as the Mythic, is not in the event key drop table. They will be next Suncrest event, but this particular Suncrest event, they should not be in the drop table. I'm actually not 100% sure. I haven't actually opened them yet, but I am pretty certain neither of them are in the drop table, as that's how every other event has been going. So do be mindful that those will not be available. So as far as what is available, if we go over to the Suncrest, a good majority of what here is, and there's a few pretty notable ones that are still worth opening the drop table for, if you happen to not have. As far as the drop table, the things that are not in the drop table include all 4 of the Stonesong Airy troops, the Doom of Light, the Mythic of Quetzalma, and the Sun. All of those things are not in the drop table. However, relevant things that are in the drop table are the following: just Phoenicia. But well, I guess maybe Sunbird and such. But yeah, if you want to pick up a Phoenicia, she is one of the 2 mythics within the drop table. The other one being the very useless Lopachle. But if you've been trying to get a Phoenicia and you want to try for it off of event keys and test your luck, she is in the event key drop table right now. She's a really good farming troop, has really good AoE potential, is really good at farming trophies, has a really strong impact, has the strongest single cast AoE in the game, because it gets to do its standard AoE damage. It does more based on reds on the board, and if there's a firestorm, it gets to double all of that, which is where she gains a lot of value, gains a lot of boost ratio from magic, and overall really solid troop for its full AoE potential. Its traits are absolutely abysmal, so you don't even need to get it traded. It's used entirely for its ability. So if you've been looking to possibly get a Phoenicia, you might want to open some event keys this week. And aside from that, it's pretty much the only thing really good in the drop table. Sunbird somewhat is, but it's off meta compared to Rowan in the current state of the game. And generally, you just use Rowan instead of Sunbird in almost every situation now. So unfortunately, Sunbird not really that useful. Though 2 other troops are useful, though of course they're not obtainable from event keys. Those being Queen Zachi, which is obtained specifically from throwing Chaos Shards at Stonesong Airy, and of course the new Mythic that just came in today or last Monday if you bought the bigger pass, which is basically a loop troop that's kind of like Snowy Owl as a mythic, essentially. It has a potential of doing a lot of yellow, and it gets to control the board pretty effectively. It's not better than like Truffle Loop and a few other loops that exist within the game. However, it is another looping potential troop, particularly for the coloration of yellow, which doesn't really have too many options other than Divine Shpala Kulin, though that's not really a true loop, though neither is that mythic. Anyways, as far as other stuff, we got the Ward Lore event. Should be pretty easy Ward Lore event, mostly because the Ward Lore event is Suncrest, and Suncrest has a lot of Stryx, and they both have bonuses. So basically, a good majority of this kingdom will have, or what you are able to use, will have 20% bonus this week, which should make it quite a bit easier than normal. Another thing that will make it quite a bit easier than normal is we have bonus damage to both skulls and to spells. So regardless of which format you're using, or a combination of both, you will still be able to get the full amount of effectiveness from your medals, making obviously any event that has that quite a bit easier. As far as the battle route that you want to do, it's a little bit of a weird one. Mythics are highest priority, with Zillapachi being the absolute highest, and then Ferrishra being the next highest. So you want to go always for Mythics when you see them. For whatever reason, the second best room, or third best, depending if you count both those two mythics, is the one that we're actually hovering over right now, the Metztli, that has this different like little thumbnail. Instead of the skull, it has like this little tower skull thing. Almost looks like a rocket with a skull. But these things are actually basically as good as, better than the Legends. It is the third best room. It basically goes, the two mythics are the best. Then for whatever reason, this Metztli is the second best. Then the two Legends are the next best. And the one that you want to ignore the most are the Dark Trolls. The Dark Trolls are the absolute worst, and they're the main ones you're going to want to avoid. So even though this is an epic, it is actually better than both the Legends. So it's kind of weird, but yes, go for this thing. These ends up giving a lot of points. So again, the order is Mythics are highest priority, then this Metztli battle is the next priority, then the Legends are the next priority, and the lowest priority is Dark Troll. So that's all you have to do for the event. It's basically rarity order, except Metztli are above Legends for whatever reason. So that's essentially what you need to do for the event. And if everyone in your guild does tier 3, you should be perfectly fine to go get all of the standard rewards related to the World Lore event. Anyways, as far as other things that we got going on this week, Tuesday we have the Illithia faction. Actually a pretty easy pure faction with all the magic steel that it has as well. So if you want to get that done this Tuesday, we have that. Wednesday is the Stryx bonus pet. Thursday is the pretty good Stormcaller class. So you can end up utilizing that, and has Perpetual Yellow Storm, which is the main benefit that it has. It can be good to get it to 70. It doesn't necessarily need 100 because all it really gains is some attack to all Stryxes, but it can be somewhat useful. And then this Friday, we're just going to be having a pretty standard raid event thing. So nothing too special. This Saturday, though, I almost forgot. Saturday, we will be having the 2019 Valentine's Day pet, I believe it was. The Cupid one. The one that looks like Cupid with the bow and everything. I believe that was the 2019 one. We were not able to get the 2021 for the Valentine's Day or for Lunar New Year, so I guess they're doing that next year. But both the two 2019 ones came in. The 2019 one for Lunar New Year came in, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whatever it was. And now we're getting the Valentine's Day one on this Saturday. So do be mindful of that. If you don't normally play that much on Saturday, you will be able to get the 24-hour pet of the 2019 Valentine's Day pet, which will be the last time you'll be able to get it until next year. So definitely make sure to go and do so this Saturday. Aside from that, as far as the Soulforge is concerned, we do have a couple things that's worth crafting, mostly the Megavore, Umanith, and Lord of Slaughter here. As far as which one of these three is the highest priority, I'd probably say the Lord of Slaughter. He has a 100% true damage off of his final trait. He has a Bone Storm summon at the start, which works really good with his convert. He's basically like a Shagra, but Doom Skulls. He gets to create 6 brown gems and then converts all those browns into Doom Skulls, basically what Shagra does, except for brown instead of red, and Doom Skulls instead of normal skulls. But then it also gets to inflict 1 to 2 bleeds and 1 to 2 death marks. However, the fact that these are Doom Skulls instead of normal skulls gives it a lot of mana accumulation and basically board clears the entire board, unlike Shagra. So even though it has quite a bit of a higher mana cost, pretty much double that of Shagra, it gets quite a bit more value just because of the amount of explosions and the extra damage, since each of those Doom Skulls do, of course, 5 additional damage each. So if you explode chain all of them and you created even only 10, that would still be 50 whole additional damage. So it ends up doing quite a bit, plus it gets those extra little effects. So overall, really good skull spamming mythic, probably one of the most meta things that we ended up getting last year as far as mythics are concerned. So definitely worth considering as far as what's currently available. Umanith is basically just an alternative Zugoth that if you're planning on Zugoth, you probably don't even want to bother with until much later into the game, until you just get it at the end. You could get it a little bit early if you don't plan on getting Zugoth anytime soon. But it basically functions similar to a Zugoff, essentially, just a little bit clunkier. And Megavore, main gimmick with this is as a 4x armor tier. This is very situational when you would need it, however, it is pretty devastating because it essentially makes your entire team do true damage, in a sense, and because you're tearing away all the armor, so when you do physical damage, you won't have to deal with the armor anymore, similar to how true damage works. So pretty substantial as far as how much value you can get there. It also has an 8% instant kill, however, this is so inconsistent that it generally does either nothing or auto wins you the battle, but more often than not, obviously, given that's only 8%, it'll end up doing nothing. Also, if you want the worst mythic in the game, it's also here. Actually, I don't think he's the absolute worst anymore. But anyways, Javelin of Suncrest. I think we only need like a few more of these, but the Javelin of Suncrest is available for the first time for free. Prior to this point, you would have only been able to get it for $5 off of one of those little weapon flash offer thingies. However, this is the first time it has been available for free, so definitely make sure to go get that if you're just getting all those for completionist sake. And even if you don't have too many resources, might still be okay to get just for the sake of having another weapon so that you can max out the kingdom. As far as an actual good weapon, though, I highly advise getting Nimbus Bow before the end of this week. Nimbus Bow not only is really good with the new mythic, but is also really good with finesse, which is a common that pretty much everyone has laying around. You just need to get it fully traded, but because you end up getting those pretty commonly off of seal keys. But this has really good value with it. You can literally run 3 finesses with Nimbus Bow, and it's good to go. It's normally the weapon that you'll see me mentioning for it. However, I normally put a different weapon there because a lot of people don't have Nimbus Bow. However, now's your chance to go get it. So it ends up boost ratioing based on Stryx, ends up creating blue and yellow, the yellow being the most substantial part of that. And you could basically do this with Perpetual Yellow Storm off of Stormcaller, feed into a bunch of finesses. The finesses go crazy, and then you kind of just auto-win from there. Ends up working out pretty insane with pretty much every Stryx team within the game. So highly advise getting this. It's actually one of the better double converting weapons, or double gem creating weapons based on the typing. So do advise if you're going to get anything from Soulforge, this is 100% highest priority to end up getting. And of course, it costs a standard amount, with the two main things being the 600 green, 600 purple, 300 diamonds. So definitely 100% make sure you go get this before the end of the week. And most rest of them you can kind of just ignore unless you want like the epics one just for kingdom upgrading purposes. But as far as weapons you're actually going to be using, Nimbus Bow, definitely highest priority. Anyways, let's go and also for campaign, I didn't mention this yet. We'll be going over, of course, tonight, as we do every single night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, going over all the last of the tasks. But, of course, most noteworthy is that Quetzalma is available this week. So you will be able to get this off the standard pass if you complete out every single one of the tasks. This is pretty advised, obviously, if you end up getting the pass, as it's a pretty good troop. I personally don't feel like it's going to be meta for much. It might be used for Green Guild War Day. It's definitely a fun troop to mess around with. We'll be showing the team for it as well. So I might as well get into that right now. So as far as a bunch of teams for everything throughout the week, we have several to go and show, all of which will be in the comment section as always. Or sorry, the description, I mean. But anyways, first one you probably already saw when we went over the World Lore event. This is if you bought the pass. We will be showing a non-pass one as well. But if you bought the pass, Harpy Mage, Quetzalma, Queen Zachi, and the Blade of Morning. Oddly enough, Blade of Morning also came from the pass, both the Quetzalma and the Blade of Morning. So we kind of got to incorporate both of them into a team that actually works on the final week. Harpy Mage used for your initial mana accumulation. The Queen or the Quetzalma used for your yellow that you'll get into everything. Queen Zachi can kind of solo on itself. You could even move a little bit higher potentially, though you don't want to put into first because you want to make sure that if your Harpy Mage dies, it could resummon the Harpy Mage off of extra turns. And the Blade of Morning is kind of just a survival option, and it also makes it so you can auto remove your purples in order to get yellow, which kind of synergizes a decent amount with Quetzalma. It's also a good way to cover blue because there's almost no other way to really effectively cover blue, so that kind of allows you to do so, as most of the other options for doing so don't really work too well for the event. If you're going without the pass and you just need something easy, just throw a bunch of Chaos Shards at the Storm Song Airy faction. You'll be able to go get yourself Harpy Mage and Queen Zachi. Harpy Mage ends up doing a bunch of mana accumulation with 75% start, which is basically a second turn in power since you're going to have enchant. So by the second turn, it will guarantee have full mana. So even though this Harpy Mage is full blocked, it'll still get full mana on turn 2. So you cast Harpy Mage ideally on like turn 1 or so, get the other one up, and then you're kind of going to be good to go. If you can get like an extra turn red, yellow on the starting board, then the one on turn 2 will be up, and then you just keep spamming Queen Zachi until you win. It's just a nice solid full AoE, and since you will have additional damage based on spell damage, you will be able to hit quite substantially with Queen Zachi, and just keep AoE spamming them until you win. So pretty straightforward, pretty cheap team as well, since the faction legends and faction epics are a bit easier to obtain than normal legends and epics, since all you have to do is just throw a bunch of Chaos Shards there, and you'll end up getting it in no time. As far as the Quetzalma, we went over a bunch of teams yesterday for a video comprehensively going over everything related to Quetzalma. However, I did not end up showing the green variant, even though I was kind of mentioning it. This is basically the green variant, and probably the only thing I feel like it'll realistically be used for beyond just messing around with it for fun. It does have potential for Green Guild War Ward. You end up using it with Fist of Heaven if you happen to have it. This basically allows you with all your divines to get bonus sass effects, and in case Quetzalma dies, it'll have two backups. One will be the 20% off its final trait, where it will come back with full mana, and the other backup is you'll just be able to resummon it with your weapon. So even though it's not particularly tanky, it has two different ways of this team of getting a revive in one way or another. And basically you just go really heavy into yellow. You have two converters as well as cleanse, so you won't need to worry about freeze, and you just keep converting like crazy into your Quetzalma. And even if the Quetzalma does die, you're really likely to get a yellow off of a divine summon, as a good majority of divines do count as yellow. So you'll be able to hopefully get a yellow there and just kind of still have the synergy going, and pretty much be good to go, as that's kind of the whole premise of the team. Can be a little bit risky to run. Might even need a reorder depending on what you're up against. Obviously, if the enemy that you're running against has like triple damage or, you know, something that hits high to green first slot or skull spam, you might want to put the Quetzalma a little bit further back and kind of reorder a bit depending on the situation for the battle and just kind of adapt from there. But it can be usable for Green Guild War Day. Is it better than what already exists? Probably not, but we'll probably test it next Green Guild War Day just to see what it can end up doing. Anyways, as far as faction, should be pretty straightforward. It's a blue, purple restriction if not mistaken, so you can end up just using Urskia Shield to Rowain for the standard meta here. Pretty straightforward, cheap team that just works for pretty much everything in the entire game. It can quick kill Explore. It can, no, not as quick as the new Ironhawk team, but still pretty quick. It can kill everything from 20 to 500 faction. It's a pretty solid team still, and really accessible. 250 wins off of Urskia Hero class from the, or Sentinel Hero class from Urskia. Ends up giving you the shield. Rowain is free from Fires of Thorns. Leprechaun's only an ultra rare, and Mirage Queen you get from throwing Chaos Shards at the portal in Sunken Fleet. So you do need to get fully traded though for the 50% elemental mana start. But yeah, that's all you need to do. And a pretty solid, cheap team that can be built really accessible to early and mid-game, as well as functioning throughout the entirety of the game. And as far as pure faction, there's a couple different ways you could do this. So the main premise is Hive Mind. It ends up stealing magic from an enemy and then shifts it into a random skill on all allies. Ideally, you want this going into something like magic or attack or, you know, anything. Hope you win a bit quicker. This is the main premise that will end up winning you the battle. You have the Illithia Servitor, which will be your main damage source, doing a full AoE damage. And if you get a magic buff off the Hive, you're going to be getting a substantial amount of damage increase, almost double for the very first one when it ends up getting it. And the Illithian Colossus ends up doing a conversion into life and armor. Do be mindful of whatever the magic values are on the enemy, as if they're trying to steal magic and there's no magic left, they will not end up doing anything to whatever their effect is. However, this does allow you to zero out the magic, or very close to zero out the magic of your enemies, which basically makes their abilities do almost nothing, which basically makes you auto win. So you just essentially steal the magic from all the most useful things on the enemy team. They end up becoming zeroed out and incapable of doing much, assuming they have good magic boost ratio, and you're pretty much just good to go. And of course, the first and final battles, this is really important on, since you're facing the exact same kind of troops. So if you get your spell or your magic reductions out first, you're pretty much just going to auto win, and they're going to do almost nothing off their ability while you just keep getting stronger and stronger. So really important to get that quick start and just kind of piling down, get rid of all their useful magic, and then just make sure they're all zeroed out, and then you just kind of auto win from there. And aside from that, for the Thursday class event, we do have Stormcaller. A few different ways you could do this. So easiest way is just end up going for a quick kill Black Manacle. Just keep passing that out. Harpy Mage fills very quickly into this. If you happen to be buying any amount of packs, you would have Enchant as well. However, even without Enchant, you're still going to get so much mana into your Harpy Mages that it should be fine. And obviously the main premise is just get Black Manacle up, cast Black Manacle, cast Black Manacle, and keep repeating. Harpy Mage also has a Brown Storm, so it feeds even easier into the Black Manacles. And we're using it with Archmages to speed it up. However, you could use it with any hero class that gains Brown or Barrier off of Brown if you want to play it a little bit safer. But if you're just doing the free battles, you're very unlikely to die, so you should be perfectly fine running it this way. Plus, this does have a 20% chance per cast to get a Devour, and if you end up getting a Devour, you're probably not going to be dying either, because you're going to be getting all the HP and armor value from the enemy team. But anyways, guys, that will wrap it up for this video. If you still have any other questions, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. As always, tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will be going over every single task for the very final week of Campaign 3 for Gems of War, and we'll be doing that, maybe messing with the Mythic a little bit more. Obviously, we've gone over it quite a bit the last week since we were able to get it last Monday, but we'll probably still go over it one last time, since a lot of people are probably going to be getting it today or tomorrow if there's like a delayed task, which I think there might be this time, unfortunately. They didn't for the first 2 times, but I think they might have this time around, which is a little bit annoying, because it basically forces you to either have to wait a day or two or pay gems, and obviously it's not really that worth it to pay gems, but we'll be going over all that tonight. Anyways, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Have a wonderful week, and I will catch you guys later. Goodbye, everyone.